So, you fancy the idea of getting into a play-by-post game, but where do you start? Well, there are quite a few different apps and systems deliberately set up to make PvP easy and to give you some handy tools to make things go swimmingly. Let's talk about places to play. Strictly, you don't need any sort of special handling to play PvP. People have been playing correspondence chess for years by exchanging letters. All you really need is a way to have a shared conversation. But a few basics are useful. Some way to indicate who is speaking, some way of distinguishing in-character role-playing from out-of-character chat, and a thing to do fair dice rolls. The first PvP systems were forums, and some are still around. The granddaddies of them all, rpol.net and Mythweavers, have been around since the early 2000s and are still hosting vibrant communities. Forums have fallen rather from grace in recent years for many purposes, but they can be a great way to host a game. Forum games tend to be quite literate. Players will often post a longer, discursive post once a day, and they can be quite the creative writing challenge. This type of play lends itself to collaborative storytelling rather than game mechanics, and it can often feel a little like the players are cooperating to write a fantasy novel together. This also lends itself well to more storyline driven games and gaming systems, rather than those which involve a lot of dice rolls and quick back and forth between players, although you can play D&D games at Mythweavers just as much as you can play Fate or Fiasco. Perhaps because of their comparatively greater age, the forum sites are often a good place to find games built around older game systems, or systems aiming to work like older RPG rule sets. You're often more likely to find Pathfinder or AD&D games in these places if that's your bag. Most also host some ancillary tools to help with play. Mythweavers is ahead here with random generators and many other sites use Mythweavers' character sheet manager instead of building their own. Strictly, the very first weren't PvP at all, they were PBEM, play by email. PBEM.com started up in 1996 in the very early days, but has been defunct for a decade. PBEM2.com has now taken on that role. Newer PvP places tend to revolve around chat rather than forum posting. These do lend themselves to more quick-fire and immediate role-playing rather than the collaborative stories of forums. There are quite a few different approaches to getting a game here, and each are popular. Tavern Keeper is something of a bridge between forum-based play and chat-based. It's presented like a chat app like iMessage or similar, but the overall feel is a little more like Mythweavers. Dice rolling is made a little more prominent, for example. MRPG is a very new setup, only available as an Android and iOS app right now, and very oriented around games alone. One creates a campaign and invites players, and then there's a dedicated back and forth chat for that game. Dice rolling is built into the interface, and the GM can easily switch between different NPC voices. Most importantly though, the MRPG developer is very actively at work on adding improvements to the system and is responsive to feedback, so expect to see that come on in leaps and bounds. The largest of the new chat-based systems is probably Rollgate, which is also under heavy development and supports many systems. Rollgate has many new games starting all the time, has character sheets built in, although not images, and is a popular place to play. And then finally for chat-based systems, there is Discord. This isn't quite the same. Discord is a chat and voice app built for use by gamers generally. Anyone can set up their own private Discord, which they call a server, and invite whoever they want, and so it's a good place to set up a PvP community. There are tools to help with this. The most common is Avray, an absurdly detailed Discord bot to manage gameplay, which can do everything from roll dice to completely run a battle, handling initiative, damage, spellcasting, and a lot more. And there are many separate Discord servers for PvP, each with their own vibe, their own attitude to role-playing, and their own collection of players. Some small, some really large and vibrant. Over the coming weeks, we'll take a look at some of these in more detail and talk about pros and cons, but for now, just know that there are lots of places you can go to play by post. So how do you find the ones that are right for you? Well, give each a try. Take a look at Rollgate and Mythweavers and MRPG to get started. But another way is Reddit's Looking for Games and PvP discussions. Reddit.com/r/LFG has countless people looking for players for new games, or DMs for their players, and Reddit.com/r/PBP the same. Some of these are for in-person games in particular towns, and quite a lot for online play on Roll20 and the like, but there are also many posts advertising Discord servers or upcoming Rollgate games tagged with PBP in the title. There is a pinned weekly community post which lists Discord communities, each with a description of the sorts of games they play, whether there is constant role-playing community or it's based around campaigns, and the attitude they'd like to see in players, and it's another good place to look for the game you want. I'd love to hear about other places to play by post. If you have a particular favourite, do drop a note in the comments so everyone can know about it, and I'll be happy to take a look. Best of luck finding your next game.